What's up, grinders? How you doing? Gaming bite here, man. Sad day, sad day. You know, just with all the stuff going on this year with the layoffs in the industry and stuff like that, we get the this news that just dropped that E3 now has officially been canceled permanently. So this just dropped, and I just it hit me a certain way. Like I just feel that I know E3 was going through a lot of changes. They kind of canceled it each year, ad hoc last year, this year. Um, and now the ESA just says we are done. And here it is right here. So they basically said that it's difficult to say goodbye to such a beloved event, but it's the right thing to do given the new opportunities our industry has to reach fans and partners, the ESA says. So it's done. Like it is done, done, done. So the only thing that we have now is that Summer Games Fest, and it kind of the thing is like I kind of feel that with E3 there was uh like it made the industry come together and make news happen, like show games. Like it was definitely a time that we anticipated. And I always said the fact that we had this June event, it kind of prepared like we could expect the news. Now we're kind of in this thing where we wait for a tweet from a company to say, "Hey, we're going to have a show or there's some random web stream that we're going to do." And Sony pulling out of E3 definitely I think hit it hard as well, and Sony just going like, we don't need E3. But I really don't like the new Sony news cycle anyway. There is no news cycle. And Microsoft tried to hold on to what was left of E3 and doing their showcase, and it seems like this Keighley show, Summer Games Fest, is going to be the thing that now kind of takes its spot. This digital event where this, and I don't know, it's not the same thing. And I was hoping that they would try to find some way to do it. But I think the major thing, and they say it here in the article, the companies now have access to the customers and business relations through a variety of means. They don't need E3 as a central event, which E3 started as a convention for businesses. Like for I remember back in the day working electronics, like it was just open up to like electronic stores, gaming stores, GameStop. Like you had to be in the gaming section in order to get invited to E3. You had to be part of media then to do it. Then in the last few years they opened it up to the public, and then it just turned into chaos. And I think the media pushed back and all this stuff. But it's a sad time because I think it made companies accountable for like, hey, this time of year you gotta have some news and some things. But we've seen the dirty reveal of that stuff with people putting just demos for the sake of E3 and they wind up not being in games. We've seen that. So it's just, it's just sad, in the sense that this was an era of things of expectations and news. And now it's kind of like now whenever they feel like it, they'll do it. And we've seen sometimes where they don't do news announcements at all, just stay quiet. And now we're kind of at the mercy of whenever they feel like it and not get that kind of expectation that we have. We'll see what Summer Games Fest could do, but that's not going to be what this E3 was. And, I think they're just a lot of these companies, the money for setting up booths and doing all that stuff wasn't probably worth it. They started pulling out and going, we could just do a digital event and go a little bit cheaper and not have to do live demos, staff management of booths and, showcases on stage and all this other stuff. Like we could just do little things and save some money, because I think that the booth prices and everything were getting really up there. And I can tell you, for somebody that goes to PAX East every year, even that coming back, like PAX East has taken on a different perspective from pre pandemic. Like basically now it's definitely more PC and indie focused, whereas a lot of the Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo's still there, but PlayStation and the Xbox used to do have great booths. Xbox was the first one to have booths there, and then they turned into a mix of booth. Oh damn! and then that went away, and then we're done. And Sony just didn't go at all. And now PAX is kind of more akin to a lot of indie games like Focus Entertainment, like kind of like those. Square Enix still there, but even that has changed as well. And hopefully that doesn't go the route of E3. But E3, I just think, was very expensive. And it says here, any one of these major companies could create an individual showcase, partner with industry events to showcase a breadth of games. That's exciting for our industry. And then here it is. E3 2018 was the last time that they had a full-fledged event, with all major players being there in 2018. In 2019 and beyond, that Sony did not attend that. While subsequent years immediately saw the likes of EA and Nintendo sitting out as well. Then in 2020 was canceled due to pandemic, and though the show did return as a remote event in 2021, it was met with lukewarm reception. And I guess that's because a lot of the publishers and stuff didn't want to show. They felt like, hey, now we're not tied to this time of year. Let's just, hold on to things and not share. And then the last couple of events, they tried to reinvent this event. And then you could see in 2022 and 2023, both were canceled. And then they announced that 24 and 25 had all been canceled. And now they're just saying it is done. So there is no hope of E3 coming back from the ESA ever, according to today. So now we got emergent events like Summer Games Fest and the Game Awards. Both are created by Keighley. And, coming off the Game Awards that we have already, we're already seeing the Hollywoodification, if you will, of marketing and advertisements and actors and who's on stage and the who's who. And again, even the game reveals, like the Game Awards, like I said, was more of a reveal show. That's what everybody's talking about, the games that was shown, than the people that won. And going into it, everybody was talking about the nominations. So and then the Summer Games Fest, I don't, there's been a lot of criticism. I think last year was the breakout year for both of those shows. I think everybody was majorly positive about the Game Awards. Summer Game Fest was all right. But this year, I think there's some criticism of the Game Awards. The sense of like not really appreciating the devs. But like we said on the show last night, like, you better be careful what you ask for. I don't think people want 10-minute speeches from devs thanking everybody. Even though they deserve it, that's not very entertaining from a viewer. And engagement, viewership, marketing, it all feeds in a vicious cycle. And people coming looking for those reveals. I think it needs to be shorter. But that's what we kind of have now. And it's incredible how Keighley filled in this thing. Like, this was his goal. Like, if you remember, when they posted about E3 2024-25, he like retweeted it with, hey, you could always check out Summer Games Fest. And like, he was going head to head with the ESA, like really kind of trying to replace E3. And now he got his wish. And now Keighley is E3. Oh no. Oh no. That's what he turned into. He used to go there and interview as part of game trailers. And then he went in there as part of YouTube gaming and had like a stage show. Now he's the only show in town. I really think these companies, now that E3 is done, I feel that these companies should have some sort of obligation to have some sort of event, especially Sony on this front. Microsoft, I think they should have that Developers Direct that they had in January, and that kind of be a thing where they could talk about their games that are coming out this year with a Dev Direct, show more gameplay, obviously, and less people walking in the hallways. But Sony needs to have some sort of like cadence. There needs to be a cadence. That's the thing. That's what E3 was about. It was a cadence. You knew around that time we're going to get the new stuff, either what's coming for the holiday or what's coming out in the next year. And Microsoft always came big at E3. E3 was like your showcase for what is coming out in the holiday. And Sony did the same thing. Like, it was great. And just to know that those times are over now. And it's been over. I know it's been over. But to just kind of have this official kind of just throwing in the towel that we are done. Like, we are not reinventing this thing to come out in a couple of years. They confirmed with the Washington Post that the ESA is now closing the event permanently, and there's no shows ever coming in the coming years. So no kind of rebranding in 2026 or anything like that. So yeah. And like you said, just the diminishing importance and the necessity of an E3 event. And it just just kind of reacting immediately to this thing. It definitely is, an end of an era. And I just wanted to kind of just reflect on that it is an end of an era. Yes, we've been without it officially for the last few years. But these gaming conventions, I really think there needs to be, and know what else? Another thing too that I'm thinking about is that what needs to happen is what's happening is we're seeing now is that because there's no kind of live show or like place where people can go engage with games, we are seeing a lot more CGI trailers, renders, and all this other stuff, and not actual gameplay. Like it's kind of, and that's where it was another criticism of the Game Awards, was that there was so much of just, what is this game? Like, you show me this great CGI show, what's the game going to be? And now, because of this passive viewership where they could just share a YouTube video, they could just show during a show, they don't have to have like a live demo where, because that was a big value of E3 or even any of these conventions, where you had people play games hands-on and tell you how the experience was. I know that I've done it a bunch of times too, like going there, playing Dead Island 2 and playing and going, oh, I played it. This is how it felt. I was sold on it from what I played. And getting that hands-on experience, and then the media, back when they used to be legit, would come back and be like, hey, behind closed doors, we play this. We demoed this. This felt really good. This needs to be more polished. This needs this. And I feel that kind of hands-on feedback is lost. And that's going to affect us, because now what we're going to see is a lot of just CGIs and kind of bait and switches of like, this is what we wanted the game to look like. Does it look like that? And now, given the way now information is shared so easily over YouTube or Twitter, now we're going to have less of that hands-on media or influencer, gamer feedback of how a game is. So we need more demos. We need more demos to us, digital distribution, more demos, more hands-on, because we're not going to get that transparency that some we used to get back in the days of E3. Because I would always look and say, how they play the game, how did it play? And getting somebody's perception and experience from it. Now they have controlled environments where you can't talk about anything, but you'll play the game, but you can't say how it really is because we told you so. And here's a CGI in render, 4K render of all this other stuff. So that's the one downfall that I find with this new way of sharing information about games, is that hands-on reaction feel, even from, and that was a great thing too about YouTubers, like, back, listening to the podcast, and then when podcasters were able to go and play the game, hearing firsthand about what their experience was before the influence, the media got all whack. So that's a sad part of the whole thing. Like but it's done. The writing was on the wall, so this doesn't come to a surprise. It's just seeing officially it's done, end of an era, never coming back. Hey, never say never. There's always somebody that maybe watch Keely goes and buys E3. Oh damn, and just calls his Summer Game Fest E3. Oh man, now I'm throwing some crazy stuff out there. But anyway, this news came out. Wanted to just get a little bite out there just to kind of, give some feeling on that, because, yeah, it is definitely not a great time. I know people are like, oh, E3's dead. Woo! Like, it was dying anyway. Yeah. But think about what if they could try to do something. I don't know. But they couldn't. So it's done. Now we're left with what we got. And now companies are kind of just like at their will whenever they feel like it. And we just kind of have to wait and see and not have that. thing. So whether this gives more power, I'm sure it does, to Keely's event, and now he kind of gets more marketing and advertises and more Hollywood. And now we're just sitting there rolling our eyes, going, "Man, nah, not like this." So we will see where it goes from here, but it has been canceled permanently. It is done. So no longer, it was canceled for the next 2 years. Now it's done officially. Yes, they confirmed today. So with that, grinders, like, share it, subscribe if you're new, or if you like the content here at the Gaming Grindhouse, and hit that like button. And thank you again, everybody. Talk to you soon. Good night.